Hey, I'm Yogi Don, your octogenarian yogi. In these videos, I'll share what I've learned over the years about yoga's ethics, its philosophy, its poses, its breath work, and meditation. May we be protected together, may we be nourished together, may we create strength together, may our work together bring fulfillment, and may there be no disharmonies among us. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. These restorative poses may be done individually or as a sequence, and they may be held for as long as your body feels comfortable in the pose. Hey there, this is YogiDonaldo, and we're going to do some restorative yoga today. Restorative yoga is a pretty passive version of yoga, and it's an opportunity to get into a pose and allow your body to be in it for a length of time. And the idea is that you allow your body to relax fully into the pose, because only when your muscles are relaxed can they begin to stretch. Many of us tend to hold tension in our bodies even when sometimes we think that we've relaxed and there is no tension. So it's an opportunity to be focused, to practice a mindfulness where we focus on what's going on in our bodies, on the tension in our bodies, the muscular tension, and try and let that all go so that we can begin to relax. And just sort of as a reminder, remember, as we move our bodies, certain muscles have to contract, and when they contract, the opposite muscle has to relax. So as I bring my arm in, my biceps are contracting to pull that arm, the upper arm, the lower part of the arm, forward, and the triceps need to relax. So when we open our arm, the biceps are relaxing as the triceps are contracting to make that movement happen. So we need to relax both sets of muscles in some of these poses, and the restorative yoga is one way that we can do that. It also can allow us then, once we are relaxed, to let the muscles begin to stretch a bit so that we can begin to come deeper and deeper into the pose. So, with that little background, let's go ahead and begin doing some restorative yoga. All right, I'm going to begin with just a simple way to begin to relax our bodies and focus. And we're going to do that beginning in everybody's favorite pose, Shavasana, the corpse pose. We're going to do a little special version of it with some support behind our knees. Some of us have a little difficulties with issues in our low back. And if our knees are slightly bent, that sometimes helps to relieve that tension in the low back. So anything under the backs of the knees will work. Could be a folded blanket. I'm going to use this bolster here. And then we come into our corpse pose on our backs. Let our shoulders relax across the chest. Try and let the shoulders come down flat against the mat. Your shoulder blades should be flat against the mat, as flat as you can bring them. And then open the arms out with the palms turned up. And obviously, if any of these things cause little issues with your body, maybe you need to rotate an arm back the other direction. Maybe you need a little more support under the backs of the knees, or maybe you don't need any. Whatever's going to work best for you, that's what you need to do. And then just allow your body to begin to relax let your awareness move through your body, softening and releasing. And maybe you need to come back to some spots to let the tension out again. Our bodies do tend to set up reflexes that just don't go to the brain, so that our brains may say relax in the low back, for example, and we find that pretty soon we're tensed again in that low back. So what's happened is the body sets up a reflex loop that just goes to the spine and back to the muscle. So it sort of short circuits the brain out of the process. And we need to let the brain become more active in that control of that tension in that part of the body. So we need to keep coming back over and over and over again with our awareness to relax, relax, relax. And eventually we break that loop and our bodies just naturally go into that relaxation. And next we're going to move into to another pose that's a perennial favorite, as they say. Happy baby pose. Sometimes it's also called a dead bug pose. Bring the knees back, give ourselves a nice gentle little knee hug. Maybe let the knees come out to the side a bit. You might even reach the hands for the feet and press the knees away from the body. Again, this helps to open up muscles in the groin. And you can hold that for however long feels right for you. And then we'll move directly into happy baby from here. Hands reach up the insides of the legs. Place the hands around the instep of the foot. And then gently press the knees down toward the mat. As you do, try and rotate the pelvis so that the tailbone is pressing down toward the mat. And breathe comfortably. Again, trying to relax as much of the body as you can. And of course, come out of it anytime you feel like you need to. And I'm ready to come out. And I'm going to roll over onto my right side. And with my right hand on the floor, I'm going to press myself up. And you notice the way that I came up, rolling to the side and then coming up sideways, rather than as some people do while they're on their back, they just sort of roll up. Puts a lot more strain on the back this way, keeps the strain out of the low back, which of course we all want to protect. All right. Next I'm going to use this cushion here. I want to demonstrate something first. My left knee has always been, my left hip, knee, whole left leg, has always been just a little tighter than the right leg. When I sit this way with this leg behind, the other leg in front, both knees come to the ground. This is what we're really striving for when we sit in this cross-leg pose, is to have our knees relaxed on the floor, on the mat. Now, if I do it the other way, this knee tends to want to stick up. Now, there's a couple things we can do for that. We can put some support under it. So that way we have both of our knees supported. Another thing that we can do is to raise our butts up. And if you notice, if I press my hands down here and just sort of roll my butt up off of the mat, both knees comfortably come to the mat. So if I add a little cushion underneath, you see how comfortable that makes it. My knees are on the floor, my butt's raised up a little bit. We've changed the angle of our torso, our hips, and our thighs so that everything is grounded, and it makes it much more comfortable and easy to sit. And you may find that you need a little more height, maybe a little less height. We play around and find what works for us. And again, we're using our awareness throughout our body to try and let go of all the tension in the muscles, making each pose a mindful pose. And one of the things about bringing our thumb and our forefinger together is that's also a little mindful exercise. Try and keep your awareness with those fingertips, keeping the thumb and the index finger joined together. And that can be a simple exercise in mindfulness, or you can add a little symbolism to it if you'd like, the joining of your individual self to the larger universal self. Another thing we can also do for our mindfulness is to keep our awareness in the spine. We want to try and keep the shoulders back. We want to try not to slouch in the low back. But try and keep the small of the back with its natural curve and the upper back without collapsing in the chest. Now I'm going to change my position here slightly. I'm going to extend my legs out, and I think that for this I'm going to turn sideways. Extending my legs out, and again we can sit legs extended, hands on the thighs, shoulders back, keeping that nice neutral spine. In this, however, I'm also working to keep my legs active, to keep the feet engaged. So to do that, all these muscles through my leg are working. I'm going to add a little twist. And the other side. And when you're ready, coming back to the beginning. All right. Next, we're going to use this chair. We're going to use this chair for a semi-inverted pose. We're going to also use this cushion. This is a version of legs up the wall. And for this pose, I'm using the chair. And I'm also going to use this cushion because I want my butt up off of the mat. And I'm going to begin here sitting on the cushion, sort of toward the side of it in relation to the chair. And then I'm going to lean back, and as I do, I'm rolling around and bringing my legs up onto the chair. This is a wonderful semi-inverted pose. We have our pelvis up higher than our heart. Legs are up higher than the pelvis. So it allows blood to flow out of the legs, through the pelvis, and up into the upper body. It also changes the way we breathe slightly. As we lay here, our abdominal organs are moving with gravity downward. And in this case, they're moving toward the diaphragm. The diaphragm, remember, is this muscle of breathing that we use. And it basically runs along the edge of the rib cage around to the spine. And as we exhale, this diaphragm is moving up toward our upper body. And with this inverted pose, the organs are moving in that same direction and helping to push the diaphragm to help push the air out of the lungs. When we inhale, the diaphragm has to move the other direction, and it takes a little more effort to inhale because we're also moving the abdominal organs uphill, so to speak. So it sort of reverses some of the breathing process, and obviously if you have any issues with breathing, you might want to not do this particular pose. And again, allowing our awareness to move through our bodies, consciously, mindfully, letting go of the tension. Now as I get ready to come out of the pose, I'm going to bring my knees in toward my chest, and I'm going to roll. In this case, I'm going to roll to my left. If I were turned around, I would roll to my right, which is really the preferred side. Then I'll talk about that in a minute. I could also have used the bolster that would bring my pelvis up a little higher. One of the things I wanted to say about this rolling to the right versus rolling to the left, in yoga, what the yogis always consider is to have the heart higher than anything else. So in relationship to this turn, this roll, rather than rolling to the left where you have the full set of lungs above the heart on the left side of the body, the thinking generally is to roll to the right. The heart is higher than most of the lungs, and that's how you come up. Okay, so enough of that. All right, next thing we want to do is full legs up the wall, which is a really great pose. A lot of people love this pose. So I'm going to take a little break here and get things set up for that. Okay, I have the bolster up alongside the wall. I'm sitting on the bolster with my shoulder toward the wall. Now, I'm going to try and do this little maneuver here without knocking over anything. A little short on wall space here. All right, what we're going to do is roll down and spin around. And then make adjustments. And with the legs fully up the wall, blood from the legs, the feet, moves down through the body, through the pelvis, flooding the upper body. And we have the same thing going with the breath, the diaphragm, the abdominal organs pressing the diaphragm in the direction of the upper body for the exhale, helping to facilitate the exhale, and we work just slightly harder on the inhale. So let's find a comfortable position here and just relax our bodies. And as I'm ready to come out, I'm going to bring my knees into the chest. And to keep from rolling away from the camera, which I would normally do, I would roll over onto my right-hand side and come up that way. But because the camera is on this side, I'm going to roll to my left. And if there were really room, I would swing my legs around and come back to sitting. And if my mat were here underneath the bolster wouldn't slip and I would end up sitting right on top of it. All right. Now we're going to take another little break and I'll be right back. This time we're going to do a back bend on an exercise ball. I know not everyone has an exercise ball available, but you can probably pick one up without too much trouble. I recommend them. Here we are with our exercise ball, and I'm going to do a back bend over the ball. And to do that, I'm going to swing around here, and then with my back on the ball, I just roll a bit. And keep my hands here, or I can bring them around. With my arms forward, I feel a nice stretch in my chest. and the inner arm right in here. And I'll hold this for a bit. And then to come out, just simply roll down, and that's it. Back bend on the ball. Okay, now let's get the ball out of the way. See if it stays out of the way or if it's going to come back. All right. Next we want to, I think I want to take another break and I'll be right back. Okay. We're going to set this up for a restorative twist. And I've got some of these foam blocks, and you could use books, you could use almost anything. But I'm going to arrange them like this, and then put the bolster. And again, you could use anything. You could use folded blankets for this too. And then I'm going to have another blanket here. I'm going to begin sitting on this hip. And again, find whatever works for you as far as the knees go. And then just relax your body down on the stack. And maybe you need to make some adjustments there so that your throat is protected. And we're going to do the other side. And when we're ready, and there we have the restorative twist. All right. Next thing we're going to do is a restorative pigeon pose. And for that, we'll just use this one bolster, or again, you could use a number of blankets. And when we're finished, we're going to come to corpse pose for final relaxation. And when we're ready to come out, knees to the chest, roll to the right, and come up. Pause, take a screenshot, and print these sheets for your use. May our bodies be strong, relaxed, and healthy. May our minds be calm, clear, and serene. May our hearts be filled with loving kindness, and may we live our lives in harmony with our true inner selves. May we be friendly toward the joyful, compassionate toward the suffering. May we celebrate the good in others and remain impartial to their faults and imperfections. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you for joining me. I hope you'll subscribe and share these videos.